The shot that shattered her world rang out at sunrise. Emily Carter discovered her father sprawled in the Kansas dirt, his blood soaking into the parched earth of their ranch. He'd been building a legacy out here in the wild prairies, far from the bustling cities back east, but Victor Kane had gunned him down from behind and vanished with their herd of 200 cattle, as if her dad's life was worth less than dust. She was 21, with a fierce beauty honed by years of hard living raven hair that gleamed under the relentless sun, eyes sharp enough to spot a liar from across a room, and a figure that turned heads in saloons but hid a resolve forged in fire. The local sheriff wouldn't chase Kane into the untamed Badlands. Her brothers begged her to stay home and grieve like a proper lady. But Emily had never bowed to expectations. What happens when a woman chooses vengeance over tears? And how far will she push to claim justice in a land that chews up the weak? She tracked down Jack Harlan in a dingy bar in Dodge City, where he was nursing bourbon that could etch glass and bluffing through a poker game with outlaws who'd slit your throat for a bad deal. He was 50, weathered like old leather, with a salt and pepper beard, a scarred eye patch from a long-ago skirmish, and hands that had ended more lives than most men could count. Word around town was he'd taken down 17 bandits in 5 years as a U.S. Marshal, always shooting first and sorting the mess later. "I need you to hunt Victor Kane," Emily said, tossing a pouch of gold coins onto the table. Harlan didn't glance up from his cards. "This ain't no spot for a young lady." "I'm no lady," she snapped, her voice slicing through the haze of cigar smoke. "I'm a woman with cash and a murdered pa. Which grabs you more?" Now he looked, his good eye roaming from her determined face to the way her blouse clung in the heat, the subtle sway of her hips as she stood her ground. The other players shifted uneasily, sensing trouble brewing. "Victor Kane shot my father 4 days back," she pressed on. "Stole our livestock and headed for the Badlands. Sheriff says it's too risky federal land." "Smart sheriff," Harlan grunted, downing his drink. "Those Badlands'll swallow you whole full of killers, rustlers, and worse than Kane." "Then you're the man for it." A spark lit in his eye, maybe intrigue, maybe something deeper. "You've got grit, I'll admit, but this ain't woman's work." "My pa taught me to handle a rifle before I learned my letters," she replied, parting her jacket to reveal the revolver at her side. "And I read just fine." The bar fell silent, eyes on the armed woman in 1885, a powder keg waiting to blow. Harlan eyed her, seeing echoes of his lost wife, Clara, gone 3 years to cholera, with that same unyielding fire. $200, he said at last. "Plus gear, and you follow my Liadno arguments. 100 now, 100 when Kane's swinging from a rope." He grinned, teeth stained from years of tobacco. "Miss, you might just make it out alive." But as she counted the coins, neither noticed the figure slipping out the door. News spread like wildfire in frontier towns. By dawn, Kane would know hunters were on his trail. They set out at dawn, crossing the wide Kansas River on a creaky ferry, the Badlands looming like a promise of blood. Emily swapped her skirt for trousers that hugged her legs, a flannel shirt that couldn't hide her form. Harlan tried not to stare, failed miserably. "Second thoughts? We can head back," he offered as the rugged hills unfolded. "I don't do second thoughts, Marshal." The terrain was stunning, yet savage, vast plains dotted with scrub brush, canyons that hid ambushes, rivers running swift and cold. They camped by a stream under a starlit sky, Emily watching Harlan tend the horses with unexpected care, his rough hands gentle on their hides. "You ever have kin?" she asked, poking the fire. "Wife and son," he muttered. "Lost you in dull fever. Should have been me." She edged closer, the flames warming her face. "Pa always said the toughest part of loss is filling the void left behind. Your pa knew his stuff. Smart enough to raise a daughter who could hold her own." Their eyes met, the heat between them more than the fire. Her voice dropped, throaty, even if it means becoming what men fear a woman unbound. That stirred something primal in him, dormant for years. She was radiant in the glow, lethal as a drawn blade, and far too young. Wanting her was a sin, ignoring it impossible. "Best turn in," he said, rolling away before temptation won. But in the dark, hearing her steady breaths, Harlan knew she was burrowing into his soul like a thorn he couldn't pull. For days in, they stumbled on the first corpses 3 ranch hands gutted and robbed by a watering hole, their mounts and weapons gone. "Apache," Emily whispered, fighting nausea. "Could be, or fakers." Harlan scanned the prints. Shot with bullets, not arrows. Boots, not moccasins. Kane's crew, likely. He eyed the ridges. When not alone. A shot cracked from above, grazing Emily's hat. Harlan shoved her down, his body shielding hers, heart pounding against her back. For a split second, pressed close her softness against his strength, her scent of wildflowers, and Sweth forgot the danger, craving to lose himself in her. "Cover," he hissed. They scrambled to boulders as bullets rained. "How many?" she gasped. "5 at least." She drew her gun, hands rock steady. What the hell was he doing, dragging her into this? But seeing her fight like a partner cracked his lone wolf shell. They fled under a hailstorm that turned trails to slop, holing up in a shallow cave reeking of old desperation. Emily shivered, drenched, her shirt translucent against her skin. Harlan built a fire, then draped his coat over her. "You're freezing." "I'm okay." But her teeth chattered. The coat smelled of him smoke, leather man. A warmth bloomed in her chest, unrelated to the blaze. They sat near, knees brushing. Outside, thunder roared. Inside, tension crackled. "Tell me about your wife," she murmured. "Anna. Met her at a barn dance in Texas, pre-war." Her smile could light the night. His voice softened. "Did you love her?" "Wed her, didn't I?" "That's duty, not fire." She met his gaze. "I've seen men's eyes on my hunger, not affection. And yours. It's different." The air thickened. He knew she was right. This pull was raw, forbidden. "Emily, you're half my age." "I'm grown, Jack. I see the want in you, the fight against it." She leaned in, eyes gleaming. His fingers grazed her cheek, silk under calluses. She pressed into it. "This is trouble," he whispered. "Worth it." He kissed her, fierce and desperate, tasting storm and need. Her lips parted, tongue meeting his, igniting a blaze. Hands roamed his, unbuttoning her shirt, revealing fire-kissed curves, hers tugging his belt. He lay her on his blanket, mouth trailing her neck, her gasps fueling him. As she arched, a noise froze them, hoofbeats in the rain. "Dress now." He doused the fire. Voices echoed. "Smoke here." Kane wants him alive, the woman, anyway. Terror gripped her. They'd been tracked. Slipping out of a back crevice, they led horses through jagged rocks, but Kane's men knew the land. By morning, encircled at a ravine crossing, shots erupted. Harlan's horse bucked, throwing him. Emily dove behind logs as splinters flew. "Surrender the girl! Marshal!" a gravelly voice yelled. "Kane's got plans for her." Harlan crawled to her, bloodied. "Count." 8. She reloaded coolly. "Plan." Hit center, double tap. "Don't humanize them." She nodded, fierce. The assault came waves of gunfire. Emily dropped too, the kills hollowing her inside, yet empowering. Harlan blazed with fury, but, overwhelmed, a bullet tore through his arm. Then Kane emerged slight, unremarkable, with dead fish eyes and a steady pistol. "Emily Carter, you've been a thorn. You murdered my pa," she snarled, aiming. He drew first back, turned his mistake. The nonchalance enraged her. This worm had stolen her world? "You'll pay." He smirked. "Drop it, or my boys make you beg for death." Harlan staggered up. "Harm her, and I'll gut you slow." Kane's gaze shifted. Emily fired. The slug hit true, blooming red on his chest. He crumpled, shock frozen on his face. Silence blanketed the ravine. Staring at his corpse, Emily felt emptino triumph, just a void. Killing hadn't revived her pa. It stained her soul. Kane's gang fled, leaderless. Emily hauled the bleeding Harlan onto her horse, arms wrapped tight, their bond unbreakable now. Docks needed. Towns a day, East German settlers. They reached it with him fading, blood trail marking their path. The doctor operated through the night, extracting lead and sewing flesh. Emily stayed vigilant. When he woke days later, she was by the window, watching golden wheat sway. You didn't leave. Where to? Home's empty. He winced, sitting up. Go back, Mary, kid's normal life. She turned, eyes clear. Normal's a cage. I tried it. A smile tugged her lips. Heard you got acreage, south fertile soil. Needs hands. His heart swelled. This warrior woman, who'd slain and saved him. Partner. More. They wed that spring in a simple chapel, she in a dress that hugged her form, he beaming despite scars. The ranch thrived, cattle herds rebuilt, a son born the next year, echoing laughter in the fields. Justice hadn't healed all, but love mended what vengeance couldn't. They'd forged peace from chaos, unbreakable. What did you think of Emily's journey from grief to gunslinger to wife? Drop her take in the comments. Was her romance with Jack too taboo, given the age gap? Did the violence justify the end? Share your stance, agree with her choices or not. Let's debate.